Okay guys, I'm ready to go inside. It's freezing out here in Minnesota. Aaron and Elizabeth have come in on their day off to come chat with us. Before I even got into photography, probably 15, 20 years ago, I wanted to be a potter. So they have this awesome potter's studio over there. And then right here, that W is the Westwork, the company that helped build the first sticky over 7 years ago. So it's only right that this studio is the first episode of By the Numbers. They are such an amazing couple, such amazing photographers, and so willing to give back. I just knew I had to get them on the show and share their amazing story with you guys. So enough standing out here in the cold. I'm gonna go inside. We'll see you in there. What is up, everybody? Thank you so much for hanging out. So thank you guys for being here for me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome. So we're gonna jump in, but what I wanna get off the bat right away is just the numbers. I think nothing speaks louder than establishing your credibility than let's just talk frankly about what you guys have created over the years. So when did you guys first get started shooting professionally?
About 10 years ago.
10 years, okay. Mm-hmm. And how many sessions did you guys do last year?
188.
What?
Yeah, that's what we said at the end of the year
I
too.
did not know it was that many. So 188, all right. And now what was your average session sale at?
Last year was $900.
Dude, so great. Okay, congratulations, you guys. That's so huge. So once we get that foundation down, let's learn more about who you guys are. Aaron and Elizabeth Volk. 4 Girls Glamour.
Yep.
You guys have been focusing primarily on that brand, right? You do other stuff, but this has become the main focus.
Yes.
I think today I really want to dig into what surprises me most about getting to know you guys over the last couple of years is how you're able to pull all of this off shooting 1 day a week. Has it always been that way?
It has been that way up until this year.
Okay.
This year we actually added one
Just because
day.
you're getting busier.
Just because we're getting busier, and we're trying to move around and get more flexible and be able to stagger things out a little bit more just for the income process. But other than that, yeah, it was 1 day a week for 7 years straight.
Wow. And that's just out of necessity. So you guys have other jobs. You're squeezing this in. Elizabeth, you just recently quit your day job so you can go full-time on the studio.
Yes.
How did you make that decision?
Well, the studio was just taking off, and I couldn't handle both workloads anymore.
The whole time, I'm sure that was the long-term goal, right? Was for eventually?
Yes.
So how I wanted to really dig into this, the struggle of that decision, because I know a lot of photographers are balancing when's the right time to leap. Is the studio can continue to grow when I let go of that other revenue? What was that process together in making that decision?
I think we just had to have faith when we got to that point.
Yeah.
We were consistently doing 4 to 5 sessions every week.
Yep.
And at that point, it was like our workload was getting too big. So it was either take on somebody else or give up the day job and Elizabeth continue growing the business the way we're growing it.
Right. So there's always that, I continue to hear that theme that you're never, while you're doing the day job or the side gig or whatever it is, there's not 2 of you, right? So you can't bring it and replace it, the revenue 1-to-1. You've got to go, okay, it's close enough. Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to really take that leap of faith and hope all the systems we put in place are going to hold strong. And so far it looks like they have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Congratulations, guys. Okay, so there's a bunch of different directions. Before we get into it, I like laying the foundation of the numbers. I've got more questions there, but let's pause for a second, just talk about your why. Because I think that it's important that there's this mix. As creatives, we don't always get into the numbers, right? But that's how we make all of this work, is you've got something set and revenue is going to come in, you're going to make a profit and it's all going to work out, hopefully, right? But there's also the creative side. Yeah. And let's talk about that. What's your motivation? What's your why for doing boudoir and being a photographer?
Our number one reason we went into boudoir was a few years ago after watching a Creative Live and learning about it. It just kind of hit Liz and I's heart, and we're like, it's something we need to do. We have 4 daughters, which is how we got the name 4 Girls Glamour. Yep. And we just wanted to create a body positive image for our children. And we're into photography, so what better way to do that than use our lens to show that? So we've been growing our little tribe through Facebook and Instagram, and created a little family. And we just continue to grow. So it's amazing.
It's such a great message. Every time I hear it, it hits me. I've got a daughter also, and I think we all know that as a culture, we're going through a shift, right? And it's a great time, I think, to be a boudoir photographer. It's about time that we create better images, better role models of what beauty really means, and how it's a lot of times. I know part of your business is about helping a woman create a bridal gift for the wedding, right? But time and time again, you guys, what is the feedback you hear on what the motivation really is and the benefit of investing in a boudoir shoot? What do you hear back from your clients?
That they're doing it for themselves and to really see themselves as somebody else's way that sees them.
I love when they, time and time again, will hear I came in here for my fiance or my spouse.
Yes.
But when they leave, they're like, I actually feel like I did this more for me.
So huge.
So it's been great for that.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. So Elizabeth, I also want to hear from you. What's your why? I've heard you explain it a couple times. I want to hear what your why is as a photographer, and in doing this together as a couple also. That stands out for me.
My big why is the same reason Erin's is our daughters. And but just seeing the women come in here and seeing them say, oh, I have so much cellulite, or oh, I have a million stretch marks, or the flab on my arm is disgusting. And then they see the back of the camera, or they come in for their reveal and see their photos and go, oh, I don't see that. And I say to them time and time again, it's not there. You're seeing things that aren't there. So being able to show women that they're seeing things that aren't there is so amazing to me. And when they come in and are crying and wowed, that just means everything to me.
So 188 times you've done a reveal, you've had the session, you've done all of this work. Does it feel like a grind sometimes?
Yes and no. So when they come in for their reveal, no. But when sometimes I'm sitting at home and the girls want mom to play a game or read a book and I'm editing, yes. Yeah.
But it's oftentimes it's the reveal, it's the sales session when you're sitting down.
Yeah.
That really reminds you how powerful what it is you're doing.
Yeah, and getting to know them during their session is also so amazing, and hearing their stories.
Every time I talk to you guys about your whys, it's so inspiring, and I knew right away when I wanted to do a show like this, I wanted you guys to be my first guests, because you're number one, you're right down the street, and number two, your story is so inspiring, and it keeps me going. Also, when I see how much work and effort it goes into running a successful business, there's so many. You guys are doing so much outside, homeschooling your kids, going and helping other photographers, going down to Iowa, getting stuck in a snowstorm, going to all of these conferences and taking all of these tactics from all over and gradually adding them to your business. It's a lot. And so congratulations there. Let's talk about some of these big decisions and how the things you've learned over the years have made the difference. So the first big decision was this beautiful space.
Yeah.
And so the rent has recently gone up. You said when I got it, I was like, oh my God, it's so nice. They're like, yeah, rent's going up. So there's all of these things we can control and some of the things outside of our control. That's just business, right?
Yep.
So let's go back in time to deciding to rent a studio space. How did you make that call, and how long ago have you been in here?
We 3 years, right, in April?
Yeah,
So we've
3
had this
years.
place by ourselves for 3 years. Prior to that, we rented, we did like co-op. So we rented with 3 other photographers in a space that was like less than half this size.
Right.
So we had to we did the 1 day a week thing. So we would literally pack up our Suburban with all of our gear and haul it from the house to the studio 2 hours before our first session and then get it all set up. And we'd shoot for 10 hours, unload everything, bring it back home, throw it in the garage, and then do it again next week. And we did that for 2 years.
Yeah.
And prior to that, we shot out of our house, which was a whole other beast in itself, which
Right.
would take hours to talk about that. But
Yeah.
so one day we were just like, what would it cost just to get into our own place? And would it be worth not having to tear all this down and just keep it going? And would we be able to take that and then grow our business from that point? So the biggest thing for us was getting into a space that we were comfortable with, which we knew was going to cost a lot more than what we were doing. And then at the end, being able to grow our business in that same space.
Right. Just peace of mind. There's a lot of things we're weighing there. So let's go to the numbers. What were you paying for that first co-op space? If you remember, what was your monthly?
Was it 175?
Like 175-ish a month,
Yeah.
200 a month.
Yeah.
To when you first moved here, what was that leap?
1,200. So we
So
went from $200 to $1,200.
It's a huge leap of faith again.
Yep.
Big risk, opening yourselves up, but building that. Would you have done it another way? Would you have took this on immediately before the co-op space? You think? It's just opening yourself up to a lot of risk.
Yeah, I mean, when we decided to co-op shoot, we were doing 2 shoots a week. So it wasn't like we had,
Right.
and we were not charging what we should be charging.
Got it. Yeah.
So there was a whole thing of figuring out cost of doing business, what we wanted to pay ourselves. We really started to get into the numbers about 5 years ago and really putting things together to find out if this dream could come true.
Right. I'm curious. Sometimes a lot of getting our prices to where they need to be starts with just confidence in your own work.
Yep.
And
Correct.
confidence in talking about pricing. Did having your own space help give you that confidence to feel like you're grown up and have like you're running a company now that you have this fixed expense?
So about 6 months before, when we first started looking for spaces, is when we did our first real price hike. We're like, okay, this is where rubber's gonna meet the road right here. We're gonna find out if we can make what we need to make this dream come true.
So the decision to get a space really forced you guys to level up and really look at things seriously. Let's go back to just out of necessity. It sounded like you guys knew that you had to have a strict schedule.
Yes.
Was that hard to get around? Just looking like, hey, this is our day where we shoot and this is it. Was that hard to get communicated to clients or no?
We honestly, when we first started out, we were a little afraid, but we never offered anything else. So like, hey, we'd like to set up a session. When's your next availability? And we'd be like, Thursday the 21st at 10 a.m. Yeah. Like we never offered anything else, so nobody knew anything else.
Right.
Or they'd reply with, hey, I work Monday through Friday. Yeah. Can we hook up? Can we do something on a Saturday? And we're like, sorry, because we were still doing weddings at the time. So we're like, Saturdays are reserved for weddings or our family. We do Monday through Friday. So we actually had a friend that told us a little story about when he gets those phone calls and want to shoot in the weekend, and they're like, oh, I only work Monday through Friday. And he's like, oh, that's so cool. That's something we have in common. And so like if you like just put it out there and only offer that and that's all you can offer, if they really want to shoot with you and they want to do business with you, they're going to make it happen. So we have a lot of women that will just take a half day of work or take a whole day off and just come in here and take the morning and then get their hair and makeup all done up. And then they got that whole day after the session's over to go around and just enjoy their hair and makeup. So it's funny to hear the stories when they come back and like, yeah, I was at Target. I've never had so many looks at me. Like, so it's great to just be able to pamper them for the whole day.
It's so great. What is on the other side of a no? This is our option, right? We get so afraid. We feel like when we're getting new clients in the door, that we've always got to say yes. But ironically, the no's build trust. They show your potential clients that you're busy, that your time is valuable, right? And just with a little bit of spin, a little bit of confidence,
they see it, they move their whole day to fit the thing that they care about.
And I don't know if we ever use the word no. Like whenever we get, we always respond with a positive spin and create another door of opportunity for them to just come back and say like, okay, let's do that.
Yeah, well put. I think it's just having the confidence to be like, this is it, right? This is our availability. What would you say to maybe a new photographer listening that is opening their schedule up to shooting whenever is convenient for their potential clients?
I think they need to think about workflow first too. Like setting specific days is healthy to your life, and knowing when you're going to edit and what days you're going to shoot is important.
In order to get that volume up, you just need a system. Like you can't go in to any day and say, what do I feel like doing today?
Exactly.
Otherwise, it's all going to fall apart.
We have a system that for email replying, for Elizabeth does all the editing, so she knows that on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, she's editing. Saturdays, if we need to do catch-up, she'll do like one client on a Saturday, but still try to keep that open for the children. And Sundays, we don't work. Like Sundays are off limits, so that's huge. We try not to work Mondays too often, but that'll be like our backup plan to catch up.
And so in the one day, when it was just one day, when would you do the sales session? Was it on the same day you're in the studio? So you'd carve out time for sessions and have people come in for their sales session?
Yeah, so we're in a unique situation where we actually laid out our studio to do hair and makeup on a quarter of it. So we have 3 stations for hair and makeup around the corner. And so while the client is in with hair and makeup, we actually do our reveal session with the previous week's client. So hair and makeup takes an hour, IPS takes an hour. We wrap up that, and then we can just go right into the session with that person. So we do that 4 times a day, every Thursday. And we just have 2.5 hour blocks that we would schedule everything with.
It's so smart, you guys. So I love these little nuggets of you've just learned kind of out of necessity, right? But it's become this amazing, well-oiled machine. I can imagine that so much of this is like social proof is a really powerful thing, where to be here with other clients.
Yeah.
How does that have an impact, you think, on your clients?
I think the girls in hair and makeup, when they see the lady from IPS leaving with a smile on her face and giving us a hug when she's walking out the door and saying thank you, they're like, oh, what did she do? Like, oh, what, how did her session go? And so that is kind of a door that opens, and yeah, it's amazing to watch that happen.
That is really smart. Yeah, that's so cool. I think it just makes people, it builds confidence and trust. Like you're asking people, this is one of the things I love talking about with boudoir photographers most. In order to get people in the door, you really have to level up your business, I think, just a tiny bit more than other photography studios, because you're asking your clients to be their most vulnerable, to literally take their clothes off with you.
Yep.
What are some of the differences? Because you guys have done really all the different types of portraits. What stands out for you in what it requires to be good at boudoir?
Man, I think the biggest thing is the why. Like, if you don't have a why, then how can you portray that to your client? Like, that you're going to be doing the best thing for them? Yeah. Because they can't trust you if they don't know what you're about. And one of the things Liz and I do, mostly Elizabeth, but what we do is we go live. We have a private group for our past clients, current clients, and future clients that we go and we get vulnerable. Like, we tell them what's going on in life. When we were having car troubles and I lost my car and we went without a car for a month, they all knew, and they were all cheering us on and pulling for us when we were trying to figure out what to do with our life. And if we could sustain a 1-car family, not possible in Minnesota.
Nope.
You can't do it. But yeah, just to be able to open yourself up to that. And like, people say, don't show your clients like there's stuff going on in your life. No, they love that. They like to know that they're not alone and that we can be empathetic with them when they have things going on in their life. So I think that's one of the biggest things we do is we just open ourselves up and we allow them to ask us anything. When we go live, we talk about our thing, and then Liz is like, ask us anything. And we've had it all. Yeah. And we have no problem letting them know what's up.
So we'll include a link to you guys' guide you're putting together to help photographers who who want to earn a full-time studio income, but shooting 1 day a week. You've gathered so many awesome tips and tactics that you've implemented and kind of consolidated. It's so cool for you guys to be sharing that with other photographers. So there's some kind of workflow tactics. While we're here on camera, let's talk about some of the marketing things that have worked to help bring new clients in the door consistently. So the big common one is a private Facebook group. It seems like a pretty standard tactic right now. Do you see it lasting for now? Facebook's always changing and locking you out, and
locking me out.
Right? Especially where it's like this double-edged sword, where the private Facebook group is a great place to connect and for people to be vulnerable, but being at the whim of Facebook and all of these things, how do you balance that risk? And is it your primary kind of strategy right now, or is there a balance?
It's a balance. The biggest thing, like how do people find out about the groups that aren't in it other than people referrals? So we use sticky mail. And first thing when it pops up on our little pop-up is we offer our sample pricing guide, 7 tips that every boudoir photographer wants you know. And there's also an invite on that to join our VIP group.
Awesome.
So combining those 2 tactics has been what's been working for us over the last probably 18 months, I think, as we started to grow the whole sticky mail. And now with newsletters launching, that's going to be probably our newest, biggest thing, so we can keep in contact and just be able to fill out a little bit more, because social media is like 1 or 2 lines, right? Unless you go live once a week. But with a newsletter, we'll be able to stick a little more stuff in. What's going on? When do you need to do this? Our biggest thing is like communicating deadlines for people. So we can't get a phone call on February 1st asking for a Valentine's Day session. So we start communicating that back in October. So we're really excited about being able to implement moving forward.
You touched on something huge there. There's a lot of just communication, right? It's getting new clients, because we're asking, especially boudoir, you're asking to take this huge risk, right? I'm assuming people don't decide to book with you within like a week of finding out about you. Do you have any stories about how long you've seen like people subscribe to your newsletter or to your sticky email list, join the Facebook group and just kind of hang out for a while and then gradually like start participating? Like, what are some of the trends you see, and how long on average does it take one of your clients to decide?
I want to say like 9 months. Because Nicole has been in our group for almost a year or a year. And it took her, she booked it a while ago, but she just came in 2 weeks ago. She was so excited. But yes, it took her, I want to say 9 months of getting to know us. So that dating time is long.
Oh, that's so interesting. So on average, what would your gut say? If there's people that I'm sure are just like carefree and jump in quick. There's some that take as long as but on average, it's about 6 months.
I would say 6 months.
So that says so much about how there's like it's almost like farming, right? I love that analogy where you're planting these seeds around, and a lot of photographers, when they go to build out a marketing strategy, they're looking at how can they book clients this week or this month, when they're just, as a result, devaluing their brand, because whenever a potential client feels that sense of desperation, they're out, right? But when you have the confidence and the patience and the connection, I don't think you can substitute the value of time, right? I like to make the analogy, always coming back to like photography, lenses. Like there's all of this technology that's changing in the photography world, but we all know nothing replaces glass. Like having big glass, big wide open, like there's no technology that can replace that. Same thing is true, see if this analogy fits, with time. There's nothing that replaces your potential clients building trust with you than hanging out for a while, right? It gives you opportunity to show them your real self. Like, hey, is this just an act? Well, no, they've been watching you guys for 6-9 months in a Facebook group, being your authentic selves and seeing all of the rave reviews of other clients. It's a really cool thing. And after you get that growing, how do you have the patience to trust in that kind of farming analogy where you know it's just going to take time?
Well, for us right now, we're like booking into March.
So the benefits of having your own space.
Biggest one is just being able to walk in and know what you're walking into each time. So when we leave last Thursday and we come back this Thursday, everything's where it's supposed to be. So just being able to jump in and do your thing is great. And that helps keep our minds in the creative mode rather than the, oh my goodness, we got to get all this stuff set up mode.
So cool. There's just it's a professionalism, right? Where you can show up ready to rock and you're not tinkering with your layout, with your setup, forgetting where you put stuff. It communicates a confidence to your clients that you're an expert and puts them at ease and helps them put their faith in you, right?
The other big thing is being able to have our art on the wall. So past clients are on the wall. When we shared, there was nothing on the walls. So nobody got to see our 30 by 40 canvases or our albums or the metal prints, anything that we're able to sell them. You can't sell something if they can't see it. So getting our own space and creating that little room with all the stuff that we want to offer was huge.
That's so cool. Oh, that's like an accident. You just kind of realize afterwards. These are such great little tips. Yeah. So if you guys want to learn more, you guys are putting together this free email course where you share some of your best tips and mistakes you've learned over the years. We'll put the links in the show notes below, in the description, wherever you happen to be watching this. We'll give a link where you guys can get these free tips. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any last parting advice for photographers looking to kind of optimize their workflow or get into boudoir for the first time? What would you share?
Believe in yourself.
That's huge. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you don't have faith and you don't take the risk, then there's going to be no reward. So there's always, like, the biggest thing when we were discussing if Liz should leave her job was risk versus reward. Yeah. Are we going to do it? We're like, you know what? We just need to have the faith. This is going to happen if it's supposed to happen. Yeah. So let's just break the tie and go for it. It's
a calculated risk. What I love about you guys is it's calculated, right? We've all seen photographers that unfortunately have taken the blind faith approach, and then just get to be right that stuff's hard, and that there's none of this works. Nobody wants boudoir in my city, and that's true if you want to be right about that. Mm-hmm. Right. But when you do the work, listen, like you guys are always so eager to learn new things and apply it, because it's always changing, right? But so there's a combination of calculating what it's going to take and then going, okay, analyze long enough. Yep. Let's leap and let's just make this happen and hustle.
Yeah, you got to know when that is, and sometimes it's hard to figure that out. So we were just at the point where, like, you know, we have guaranteed income for the next 6 weeks. Yeah. So let's just do it and go for it. So
man, awesome. Thank you, man. You guys are such an inspiration. I really appreciate your time. We'll see you around. You guys make sure to say thanks out on social media for you guys sharing this stuff, and then make sure you get the guide below. All right. Thank you, guys.